Anthracnose is a soil-borne disease caused by fungal pathogens known as Collectroticum species, which poses a significant threat to our pepper production, accounting for up to 80% in losses. Anthracnose affects the plant at any stage, which includes pre-emergence, seedling, vegetative, flowering, fruiting, and post-harvest stages. This pervasive disease thrives both in warm and humid conditions, making it particularly challenging to manage. However, with proper management strategies in place, farmers can effectively mitigate the impact of this detrimental disease and safeguard their pepper crops. So what are the symptoms of this disease? Research Assistant, Plant Pathology, Entomology and Weed Sciences Department at Narei, Ms. Commander Pilgrim, explains.
Fruit lesions are common and may appear small, depressed, and circular. As the disease progresses, it appears salmon to pink with a wet gelatinous surface. Fruit lesions range from tan or orange to brown or black with concentric circles around the lesions. Pink spore masses can also form on the lesions in humid weather conditions. Leaf spots are extremely rare and are generally formed after prolonged wet or humid weather. Affected leaves later becomes wilted and falls prematurely.
So how is this disease spread? The bad news is, it is easily spread. Research scientists in the Plant Pathology, Entomology and Weed Sciences Department at Narei, Mr. Howard London, explains how easy it is for this disease to be spread.
Anthracnose disease, like most fungi, can be spread by wind. Heavy wind areas would have the spores blowing around. Additionally, water plays a vital role in the spread of the disease. If it's raining a lot, or if you're using sprinkler irrigation, water droplets hitting the soil and splashing would cause spores on the ground to raise and land on the fruits. Additionally, the movement of personnel in the plants, like I'm doing now, can transfer the disease from one plant to another. Sprinkler irrigation may not necessarily be the best irrigation to use, but if you have to use sprinkler irrigation, ensure that you use those that only give a miss. Heavy sprinklers means more splash. More splash means more spores would be spreading. Furthermore, avoid entering in the crop when it's wet. Therefore, after rain or after irrigating with a sprinkler or a mist irrigation system, because movements between the plant means every time you touch an infected plant, you would pick up the spores and you would move to another plant. One may observe that anthracnose is more prevalent in the rainy season, and that is because of two things: the splashes, or we have the humidity. Humid environment, we're in the tropics, it's warm, it's ideal conditions for the disease to develop. Why is the disease more prevalent in the rainy season? Like indicated before, splashes. As it rained, the water would splash and the disease would, the spores in the ground would come up. But we also have then the farmers who move around in the farm a lot would spread the disease. And finally, it's wet, it's humid, and it's warm. Ideal conditions for the disease to develop. And these are all ways in which this disease can grow and spread. Poor agronomic practices are also responsible for the spread of this disease. When doing seed selection, be sure to select seeds from healthy plants, and therefore the fruit would be healthy as well. Seeds should be treated before planting, simply because the pathogen survives in the seed. As long as you plant that infected seed, then you're culturing the disease for the future crops. Additionally, ensure between crops to get rid of all plant debris, as the disease or the spores can survive on these debris when you leave them in the farm. And in the next crop, they're right there, ready to infect the healthy plants. These are poor agronomic practices that must be addressed.
So there are a number of cultural control methods that farmers can employ. Cultural control measures play a crucial role in managing this disease when combined with other management strategies such as fungicide applications, regular monitoring, and adjustment of practices based on field observations. These are all essential for optimizing disease control efforts and maintaining healthy pepper crops. By adopting an integrated disease management approach and implementing the best practices tailored to local conditions, farmers can minimize incidence of anthracnose, protect crop yields, and ensure sustainability of pepper production.
Transplant using healthy seedlings dipped in a fungicide, or use certified seeds or seedlings that are known to be pathogen-free. Enrich your soil with compost so as to help plants to resist anthracnose disease. Use a drip irrigation system as opposed to an overhead sprinkler, since the disease favors wet and moist conditions. Avoid touching plants when they are wet to prevent the spread of the disease. In areas where the disease was previously present, crops should be rotated away from Solanaceae plants for at least 2 years. Transplants should be protected from the disease by eliminating weeds. Plant your plants in a well-drained soil at a spacing of 18 to 24 inches apart. Wounds are sites of entry for the fungus, so any measures that reduces wounding fruit, such as managing insects and mechanical damage, should help decrease fruit infections. Wounds can be entry points for Collectotrichum species and also makes fruit susceptible to other pathogens. Frequently monitor fields for signs of disease and remove infected fruits immediately. Use black plastic mulch to create a barrier between pathogen and plants to minimize disease. Alternative to black plastic includes straw. Practice stalking of plants to prevent the fruits from coming into contact with the surface of the soil, so as to prevent further spread of the disease onto the fruits. Another point to note, sticks used in the field should not be used for another cropping cycle. They should be removed from the field and destroyed in another area to prevent further spread of anthracnose disease.
Another important step in managing anthracnose in pepper is the sterilization of all tools before being used in a fresh field. Effective post-harvest management practices are critical for minimizing the spread of anthracnose and preserving the quality of harvested peppers.
Post-harvest issues with anthracnose is not isolated to post-harvest only. Actually, practices in the field can cause this disease to create issues after harvesting. While harvesting, it's important to look for pepper that is healthy, in other words, free from clear disease infestation. Furthermore, peppers to be selected should be what we refer to as half-ripe in colloquial language. You don't want peppers that is extremely full, so you need a pepper that is half-ripe. Secondly, ensure that the container you're using to store the pepper is clean. It should be sterilized after every harvest. If that container isn't sterilized and for some reason anthracnose pepper was in that container, the disease would spread to the other peppers you're putting in. Additionally, it's important that while harvesting, be careful as not to cause damage to the peppers. Any mechanical damage caused is a perfect place for the disease to enter the pepper. Remember, for this disease to advance, the pepper don't need to be on the tree. You can have the pepper in storage, it could be on the stand, it could be in somebody's counter in the kitchen, and the disease will continue to multiply and affect the pepper. After harvesting, then you need to look at how you store the pepper. Let's take a look at that.
Anthracnose can continue to affect pepper fruits even after harvest, leading to post-harvest losses and reduced marketability.
Ideally, after harvesting, the pepper should be taken to a cold storage where they can be stored at temperatures that ranges from 10 to 13 degrees. But that's ideally. What do you do when you don't have ideal conditions? The farmer can use a table where they can spread the produce out, make sure that they're not packed high, preferably a stainless steel table, but in the absence of that, if you use a table like this, make sure you sanitize it every time you use it. You want to ensure that air can travel freely so that the peppers would not keep moisture and that low temperature can be maintained. This is a simple way in which you can keep the pepper before sending it to the market. After arriving from the field, it is important to sort the produce. Peppers that have been damaged mechanically or have clear signs or symptoms of disease should be removed and discarded or used for processing. At this stage, you may also find peppers that would have had clear insect damage, which we refer to mechanical damage as well. Those you ought to remove as well, because where that damage is, the disease can get in there and it can manifest itself in a very short time, damaging the pepper and spreading to the others while on the market.
One can apply a natural oil such as cinnamon for post-harvest control of anthracnose in stored peppers. While anthracnose is unsightly and it can cause significant damage to your tree, you can incorporate fungicides which are effective in managing anthracnose in pepper. However, applications need to commence in the vegetative stage and continue through a weekly schedule thereafter in rotation. The chemicals identified below are all authorized by the Pesticides and Toxic Chemicals Control Board, inclusive of mode of action: Kovac 10 teaspoons to 20 liters of water, Extracted Gold 60 milliliters to 20 liters of water, Acrobat 40 grams to 20 liters of water. For more information or help in the management of anthracnose in pepper, please contact the nearest extension officer in your region.